Hey, good evening, Mizzou fans, live from above Faurot Field at Memorial Stadium after a 42-6 Missouri win over Massachusetts on homecoming. This is the Yuengling postgame show brought to you, as always, by America's oldest brewery. That is Yuengling. None of those located in the visiting AD press box. Hope some are located where you are at. They bring you guys our pregame and postgame shows every single week during football season. Yuengling available in 29 states. Grab the traditional lager, the flight, the Oktoberfest, whatever it is that gets you through a night like we sat through tonight. I may have used up my best energy in the first 60 seconds of this show. We are 18% of the way to 1,000. So I think it's unrealistic we are going to get there after this game. I want to start by saying, if you sat through this game, if you were there in person, if you watched it on television, if you spent any of your own money to consume it in any way, you are an excellent Mizzou fan and you should be commended for doing so. I had zero expectations for this game, and it somehow fell a little bit short of my expectation. Look, I don't blame Missouri for scheduling this game. UMASS is an FBS football team. Everybody gets a couple of automatics throughout the season. So this isn't me complaining that it was played or anything. There just was absolutely nothing to learn from this. Eli Drinkwitz basically said it in his post-game press conference, and Cody Goodwin is finishing up at the post-game press conference. He's on his way back up to the press box. He'll jump in and join me, and we'll go through your guys' comments, questions, and all that throughout the evening and play some voicemails and do that. But Drinkwitz was asked a variety of questions, and while he didn't say it out loud, the questions, he basically was saying, yeah, we kind of thought that we would be able to do some of this stuff tonight, and the real test comes in 2 weeks. That he said that about the running game, or about the UMass running game. He said, hey, I think we thought coming in we could shut down the running game. The real test is in 2 weeks. So let me get the, I guess, preachiness out of the way to begin with. Don't panic about this, guys. If your thought coming out of this game is, well, Alabama will now kill us because that's how we played tonight, that's not how they're going to play in 2 weeks. These are 18 to 24-year-old kids. You can tell them all week, you have to bring your A game. This is your national championship. They can repeat it. They can say they understand it. And they know when they take the field tonight that as long as they go through the motions, they are going to win this game easily. Massachusetts scored 6 points. They did so because they started at the 30-yard line after an interception. Massachusetts did not cross 100 yards until the middle of the fourth quarter. Missouri had 521. There was not 1 second of this game where it was ever going to be anything other than Mizzou is going to win by a lot. They didn't really spend a lot of time trying to win by more than 42-6 or energy trying to win by a lot more than 42-6, because it doesn't matter if you win. It could have been 22-6, 42-6, 62-6, or 302-6. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to care at the end of the year. The reason you do not get in the playoff is not going to be the margin of victory against Massachusetts. It simply doesn't matter. This was a little bit more valuable than practice on Tuesday, maybe. Because at least there was another team out there. And that's really about all there is to take from it. I mean, we will talk about some of the things. I know you guys are going to have questions and concerns and things you want to talk about. But the goal here tonight was okay. Billy, leave that comment up. Allie Dub said drink sounded bored. We were all bored, guys. That's the best word I can use to describe this tonight. And like, I want to be clear. I have a good job. It's fun. I watch football. It's not hard. But that was the word for tonight's game. It was boring. Like, we knew the result when we showed up in the stadium. If anything, I hoped maybe we'd see some fun stuff and some different stuff and some new players and some deep passes, and we really didn't, and that's fine. But it was boring. Cody is in the studio now. Cody, is there a better word for this game than boring?
Meh.
So synonym for boring.
that's probably the best word I got for it. I halfway expected to come in and hopefully see, Alabama work. Or not Alabama. I just got done watching the Alabama-Georgia game, so the Tide are on my mind. I came into this game hoping to see Mizzou kind of work on some things, be fundamentally sound. I think what we ultimately got was the most vanilla offense and really defense. I mean, they rushed the passer a couple times, but like mostly like they just, it's like we have 5 games out there. We don't want to put anything on tape for Alabama, who Missouri does play after the bye week. So it was it's almost like you ever played like Madden or the new CFB video game and you're playing your little brother. So you'll only really run like 5 to 6 plays. Like that's kind of what we got from Mizzou tonight, which is fine. It was good enough to win 42-6, but yeah, it was very meh in terms of just overall performance. It felt a little sleepwalky. There was a little bit of sloppiness. Honestly, I was surprised that Drink was mostly pleased with the performance overall. Like I kind of thought, I didn't think he'd come in hot, but I thought he'd be a little frustrated with some things, and he was a little bit, and we can get into that. But I mean, by and large, he was pretty pleased with the performance. And I mean, you look at the box score, I get it, right? Like 500 total yards of offense. UMass didn't hit 100 total yards until the fourth quarter. Like, but it was not very exciting. It was very vanilla. They went and did the things that they were supposed to do. I think folks were maybe hoping for 60 points as opposed to 42, which I get. It's UMass. They haven't been very good this year. This was also UMass team coming off a bye. So there is the element of maybe they were a little bit more fresh, whereas Mizzou just got done playing their 5th game. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to contextualize this thing for you guys. So boring, meh, sleepwalky, a little sloppy at times. And, there was a time where a sleepwalky, somewhat sloppy game wasn't 42-6 and never in doubt. So it says a lot, I think, about this Missouri team that we felt this way about this performance. And yet they still, like, even after the pick and it was 7-6, like, not one point was really worried about Mizzou in this game, even as they continued to maybe sleepwalk a little bit. And, the game just wasn't very exciting. There's something to be said about that.
Even 2 or 3 years ago, Missouri sleptwalked through a game like this and they beat Abilene Christian 34-17. Like, and that one you go, I'm like, nothing about this game has me worried, concerned for this team's future. I feel no worse about this team tonight than I felt about it this morning when I woke up. It just, like, there was nothing. We don't have a bunch of Matt Zoller's reps to dig into. There was nothing different, new, exciting. And that's fine. I think actually Drink's probably pretty happy it was a boring game. There were no new injuries. Ahmad Harding missed a drive. He was on the exercise bike, but obviously came back.
He did mention Jordan Harris had a hand thing that they didn't want to really mess around with. Cracked the joke that Dr. Shin did not perform the surgery on Jordan Harris, but like they're not worried about it. They don't think he's going to miss any long term. So for those who maybe saw a little bit more Jude James tonight than they anticipated, that's why.
Yeah, I think the goal was twofold here. Win by a margin that is comfortable enough that top 25 voters are not going to wake up tomorrow and go, hang on, they only beat UMass by this. We're going to move them down. And number 2, get Ahmad Hardy numbers that were good enough to keep him in the Heisman All-SEC conversation. Like, they would never admit it out loud, but they were 100% doing that tonight. It's the only reason he got 24 carries, because UMass was loaded up to stop him. And no matter what, they were going to get him 100 yards tonight, no matter how long it took.
Yeah, which, we kind of thought after halftime, like, probably don't need to see him again. Like, I had cracked the joke that, like, no more than 10 carries. You don't need it. You've got enough running backs in the backfield. And we still saw a good number of guys, right? Like Marquise Davis came in mop-up duty, had a nice run in the fourth quarter to close the game out. Jamal Roberts had an impressive touchdown run, 52 yards rushing. Tavares Jones got in on the action, scored a rushing touchdown. So, like, we saw a good number of guys. I didn't think Ahmad Hardy needed 24 attempts tonight, but again, I think I wrote it either in the preview or in the final thoughts. Like, if Drink wants to keep this guy in that Heisman conversation and you want a game where you can pad stats for a little bit, I get it, right? 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's up to 730 and 9 touchdowns. Like, this is his 7th consecutive 100-yard game. Like, I understand it. Were we all a little worried when he left that opening possession before it finished and he went into the medical tent for a little bit too much? Not too much, but like longer than maybe we felt comfortable with. We were all kind of like, what in the world's going on down there? And then he came back and he was fine. So it was one less thing to worry about. But yeah, I mean, I like everything that Mizzou did tonight. I understood it. I got it. And, sometimes you just take the 42-6 and you keep the train moving.
Yeah, and I do want to say we're up over 400 people. And honestly, guys, for this game, that's phenomenal. Appreciate everybody that is joining us and spending some of your homecoming night here, whether you're, watching at a local watering hole, driving home, whatever you might be doing. Appreciate all of you spending some time, and Billy's popping your comments up on the screen. We'll get to the voicemails and all that. But you know what? I really should have thought about this earlier, but the more I think about it, one of Eli Drinkwitz's biggest strengths as a head coach is he is phenomenal at public relations. This is a PR game, because the truth is nobody that votes for the Heisman Trophy is going to watch Ahmad Hardy play UMass. They didn't watch this game. So all they're going to care about is they're going to wake up tomorrow morning, these people that put out these lists. And by the way, God, these lists are stupid. Marcel Reed completes 46% of his passes, and people have him as the Heisman leader. And then it literally, like, they're just going and picking out the 10 best quarterbacks they can find. I don't think the people who make these lists pay attention to college football. But that being said, they will see tomorrow morning 130 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Ahmad Hardy's still the second leading rusher in college football. I assume might be number 1 after tonight. And they will go, okay, that's a guy I need to keep on my radar for this award. The voters, before they go to bed tonight, when they get done writing their stories or doing their newscasts, whatever they're doing, they will look at the box score and go, Missouri 42-6, 520 yards. Who lost in front of them? I'll move them up a couple spots. That's what this game was. And Eli Drinkwitz, I don't know if he would ever admit it publicly, but he pays attention to that stuff. And that's what we were doing here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back, the loose comparison, right? Because I don't know that it's fully fair to make the full comparison, but the loose comparison that we have made the last couple of weeks is, at least between you and me, or maybe I'm just thinking of it myself, is just Ashton Jeanty, right? Because of the broken tackle numbers, because of the yards after contact, because of the total yards, because of the touchdowns, all that jazz. Like, Jeanty had a couple of games last year where against, UNLV, I just pulled him up, 33 carries, 128 yards and a touchdown. Against San Diego State, 31, 149, 2 touchdowns. Like, those were kind of 2 of his lesser games outside of postseason play when he played Penn State, right? And I know he didn't win the Heisman, but like even Travis Hunter, like I know he's a little different because he played both sides of the ball, but like he had a couple of games in the middle of last season where his receiving numbers were not fantastic. Now, I didn't go look at the DB numbers that he had or the tackle numbers he had or the pass breakups or all that jazz. Again, he's a little bit more of a unicorn, but in terms of like maybe making the comparison to Jeanty, he had a couple games last year, and this is against Mountain West competition where sometimes it's not an A game. Maybe it's a B minus game or something like that. And I think that's probably what this was for Hardy. Like, let's continue to stat pad a little bit. Let's make sure we're not doing anything stupid or crazy, but like, as long as he feels good and he wants to keep running up and away. So, I get it. Like, everything Mizzou did tonight, I totally understand.
Yeah. Like, for people, I mean, I have a Heisman vote. I voted Ashton Jeanty second last year. I probably saw him play twice. And like you said, he probably had a couple nights where you go, that wasn't a great night, but if the box score looked good at the end of the night, I didn't know he didn't have a great night, so that's what this was. All right, before we get heavy into the comments and the voicemails and stuff, let's hit on, like, is there anything that you came out of this saying, hey, I'm a little worried about that going forward?
The offensive line? Yes.
I think it's fair.
Yeah. The first thing on my little mini checklist that I had in the final three thoughts, I guess in the third thought, when I did the checklist for tonight's game, no injuries. Thumbs up. Everything seems good. We had a little Ahmad Hardy scare. Otherwise, we're fine. One of the next two was like, protect Bo. Like, don't let the guy get hit.
Right.
Mizzou gave up 4 sacks tonight. And that's a problem. Now, on the rewatch, I'm going to look like, how often did they run 12 personnel? I know that was a key into what helped Javen Richardson as well as Keegan Trost.
It was a decent amount.
Yes, they ran 12 personnel a ton. I think it was almost 50% of the time last week. And part of that is you're playing South Carolina. I understand maybe letting Javen play a little bit more on an island on his own. Can you hold up on this? But they gave up 4 sacks. When we asked Drink about it afterward, again, he's a guy that needs to go back and watch the film, so we may not hear about the recap for this game from a while. But in his immediate reaction, some of it was on the offensive line. Some of it was on the defense loading up on Javen's side specifically. And some of it was also on Bo, just like not having great pocket awareness. And so I think that's also, like Trice 4, a handful of you guys are saying a lot of it was on Bo. I think a lot of it is on Bo too. Even Drink said specifically, like, he's got a pocket awareness or climbing the pocket problem. Like, it's just something that he needs to learn and do more of to get more comfortable with. I think it was on the interception. Drink said that he stepped a little too far up into the pocket, which allowed a defensive back to get his hand either on Bo's throwing arm or on the ball or something. It came out kind of funny. I would argue on top of that he was throwing to Norfleet, who looked like he was double covered. It also kind of looked like 44, who got the pick, was still somewhere near the passing lane, if not in the passing lane. Again, that's a rewatch thing. We'll circle back to that on Monday. But there's just some smaller things that Bo needs to be aware of. There's also some things that the offensive line, I think, could do a little bit better. So just collectively, that's a little worrisome, I think, just whether it's Bo, whether it's the offensive line, the fact that it's a combination, like, because you're going to have a bye. That's great. Everybody's going to get well rested. You've got 2 weeks to go over film, not only of the first 5 games, but also of Alabama, who's coming into town next. Like, I know, and I haven't really dug into this, but I know pass rush was a worry for Alabama coming into this season, just like, who are there going to be the dudes that are going to get after the quarterback? And, we'll dig into that more over the next couple of weeks, but like, it's still Alabama. They're still going to have dudes. And if that's your weakness, Alabama's got enough talent on their defense to take advantage of that. So that's something you really need to kind of nail down if you're Mizzou over the next few weeks, is just whether it's Bo, whether it's the offensive line, like, you got to fix that, because you got to put forth a more inspiring performance than what you did tonight if you want to take down the Tide.
So I don't want to say I'm concerned about Bo, but somebody did say in there he's got to learn to throw the ball away. And Drinkwood made a very strong point about that. He said, look, he's got to learn that throwing the ball away is sometimes a good play. And he hasn't really learned that yet. He's always trying to make a play. But I'm not worried about Bo, but I do think because of how he came out – the first game was Central Arkansas, but then mostly how he played against KU in week 2. Like, I think we did this thing where we just got a little too high, a little too soon. And I don't mean we, I mean the collective, everyone. He threw for 300 each of his first 2 weeks. He was running all over the place, and people started, all SEC, Heisman, blah, blah, blah. This is still a kid who has started 5 games. I wrote it in my halftime thoughts. I think there are going to be a couple of nights this season where Missouri has to win games in spite of him, because I think there are going to be bad days. And like, today wasn't a bad day. Like, he completed 1 million passes. I mean, they were all quick outs, and UMass was just laying back and giving him everything.
I have a bone to pick with the record he set tonight, but we'll get there later.
Right. Yeah. But so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's playing poorly or that I still think Missouri is upgraded at quarterback, and there are a lot of reasons to feel good. I just think that we are ignoring the fact that he's still fairly inexperienced. He makes a mistake or two every game, and Missouri hasn't played anybody who can make you pay for one or two mistakes yet, but they're about to start. And so either those mistakes have to be eliminated or Missouri has to prove that it can win in spite of them.
I think they showed a level of resilience in the Kansas game, and even to a certain extent the South Carolina game, where the mistakes obviously led directly to points for both. Kansas obviously took the fumble back for a touchdown, built a 21-6 lead. South Carolina turned his interception into a touchdown, where we were all thinking
again tonight too.
Right. Yeah. So that interception ultimately turned into points. So tonight was obviously a little bit different, but I give Bo credit for bouncing back from those mistakes, especially against Kansas. And I mean, he bounced back against South Carolina. It was more, I think, the run game, and then obviously the run defense, and really kind of getting South Carolina out of sorts in the fourth quarter that really helped kind of nail that game down. But he bounces back. I'd like to. I want if you're going to make a mistake against Alabama, you're going to have to bounce back the way you bounce back against Kansas, as opposed to the way you bounce back against South Carolina. Because in that Kansas game, he ultimately took over that game. So. Yeah, I mean, I think people do need to remember, now he's 5 games into his starting career. These were the first 5 starts he's ever made. Now he's got a bye week to really kind of go back and look at the film with Eli and Kirby and figure out what's working, what's not. Can we fix this pocket climbing problem? We need to throw these balls away as opposed to taking sacks. We need to make quicker decisions, whatever, whether it's tucking in and running it or throwing it to the flat. He had one tonight where he took a sack, but Ahmad Hardy looked like it was his check down option, and Ahmad was wide open. So we saw that one in real time. I want to see that on the rewatch just to see ultimately what he was looking for, but it didn't look like the receivers were able to get open in the secondary. So he's been, I think the high watermark is obviously that Kansas game. But that's also kind of, I don't want to call it the anomaly, but a little bit, right? He hasn't thrown for 300 yards in any other game. He's got 3 consecutive games now with an interception, 4 straight with a turnover. So yeah, there's a few small things that I think if he can fix and tweak or continue to improve on, he's been a good quarterback. He could become very good or even potentially great if he just fixes some of these small things.
I think one of the comments Billy put up said he's going to be great next year and he's good this year. And that's the way I feel right now. I think he has a world of potential. I just think if Missouri gets to where you want them to get, I don't think it's going to be because he was this guy that drugged this team there. I think they have a lot around him. So this is not a negative. And I don't know exactly if I'm expressing this well, but first year starting quarterback, man, he's exceeded any expectation I had already. But I just think we were talking in the game. They have played 5 of their 6 easiest games. You agree with that?
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what kind of. I think Mississippi State, that game's going to be a little bit feistier than maybe we thought. But that
right.
Might
but
be
Arkansas is the only team left on the schedule that I look at and go, yeah, they're probably worse than South Carolina and maybe worse than Kansas. But everybody else is better than both of those teams. So my point is, we're going to hit a point during this season where either the other parts have to be even better or Bo will need to improve a little bit quicker than, we think maybe. Because if you're good in year 1 and great in year 2, that's awesome. If you want to get to the college football playoff, you might need him to be great in week 9 or 10 this year. Right.
Yeah.
So that's my only point.
Yeah, and I want to.
And Hillboy Humdinger, again, none of this is negative about Bo. I am not saying he's not a good quarterback. I'm just saying that there's another, to be elite, to be what everybody wants him to be, I think is going to take just a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I want to give NY some props here. He hasn't needed to throw for 300 yards. He's saying that in the comments. Correct. And Mizzou's offense is going to go as Ahmad Hardy goes. But there's going to be games when teams are going to load the box because they trust their secondary, and they're going to say, they're going to dare Bo to beat them. And Bo needs to prove that he can do that. Are we nitpicking? Yes. But this isn't the game where we needed to see that. But at some point this season, we're going to need to see that from Bo if this team wants to go where they want to go.
Right. I think there will be a game where it's all right, we're going to put everybody up, and it may be the next game. Kane Womack may come in here and just say, I don't care if I have to put 10 guys in the box to stop Ahmad Hardy. He's not beating me. Number 9's going to have to beat me.
Well, and we'll get there in a couple of weeks.
And maybe he can't.
We'll get a little bit more into it, but like thinking back to this Alabama team and how they are constructed, like they have a pretty good secondary, man. Like they have a pretty good secondary. So if there's a team that's going to say, hey, I'm not going to let Hardy beat me, I'm going to trust my secondary on the back end, it might very well be Alabama. So like that could be the game that, hey, Bo, do you have it or do you not? So
right. All right. So I promise we'll get to the voicemails and the questions after this, but you mentioned secondary. There were a lot of comments in the chat. Missouri's secondary is still a problem. I don't know if they could really do anything tonight to prove to me that they weren't. There were a few more open receivers than I think you'd have liked, but I don't know. I mean, UMass had 90 yards passing, maybe. I'll look it up. UMass was 14 for 39 for 105. So, like, you'll take that. I mean, yes, the answer to every question tonight was basically, well, we played UMass, so that's your answer. Like, I don't know what the secondary could have done tonight to tell me it wasn't going to be a problem.
This is one of those things where I'd have to go on the rewatch, because as soon as you hear redshirt freshman is starting against this defense, it's kind of, I don't want to say I kind of knew that it was going to be a brick wall effort, but it's just one of those things where you got a redshirt freshman starting for an offense that is not good. Like statistically, UMass is not very good. Like we all saw it tonight. They didn't cross the 100-yard mark until the fourth quarter. So it's kind of hard to take a lot away from the secondary, especially when the defense as a whole was really just playing a lot of vanilla stuff. Like they really weren't showing anything exotic. They weren't showing anything a lot of fun. So, which, you don't want to put anything extra on tape if you're on defense, because you want to save all the fun stuff for Alabama when you're really going to need it, right? So kind of hard to judge. Overall, I thought they played fine. There were a handful of pass breakups. There were a handful of open receivers. That'll happen sometimes, but by and large, I don't know that any of the things that were problems against South Carolina were fixed, but also I don't know that any additional problems popped up tonight, put it that way.
There were two plays that I remembered. Like Missouri was flat out fooled on UMass's touchdown pass. Like they just threw it over the top it was only like a 6-yard pass, but like Missouri clearly bid on play action and it was a pretty easy throw. And then there was like a 3rd and 8 where there was just a guy that was basically uncovered and they picked it up. And I'm trying to be real careful not to grade on, I expect a perfect game, right? Like Clayton Kershaw can go out and face the Winnetonka high school team. And like, sometimes a kid's still going to stick his bat out there and run into one and ground it between first and second. And it's going to be a single, so like, I can't ask them to go out and pitch a perfect game. That is unrealistic. The numbers tell me, I mean, I tweeted out at one point, you take out the 84-yard run by Louisiana, and I know you can't do that, but on every other running play in the last 4 weeks, teams are averaging less than a yard per carry. They are statistically a top 10 defense. I understand they've played they've played some crap offenses, so I'm not saying they're necessarily a top 10 defense in the sport, but I think we're getting a little bit too critical at times on some of this stuff.
We might be. And that's, if this team truly wants to be judged by going to the playoff and, potentially contending for an SEC title and playoff spots and potentially making a deep run, like they even said it earlier this week, that they're trying to ready themselves to play 16 games. That means sometimes we got to nitpick performances. And maybe that's me coming from Alabama, a team that views their season through that lens every single year. So maybe it's a little bit easier for me to lean into that a little bit. So I don't know. Like that's the standard they want to hold themselves to.
I'll also give them this. I mean, they played 5 games this season. this is the first one we've walked out of and not been like, oh, damn, that was really good. So overall, right? So, I mean, they played at least a B plus game in the first 4 games. And this was, I don't know, this was going through the motions. Like, I'll be honest, guys, I'm going through the motions tonight. Like, I don't have a lot to say. Everybody, like, literally 5 or 6 people in the press box before the game that I talked to said, let's just run the ball and get the hell out of here. Like, we knew what was happening tonight. And if we knew that and you guys knew that, they knew that. And this really was a roll your helmets out game and you're going to win. There is absolutely no way Missouri could have lost this game. I mean, I posted earlier today, like, UMass winning this game would be a bigger upset than America actually showing up for the Ryder Cup. Like, it's not going to happen, guys. We've got it. There was 0 chance. They did not cover Mizzou Gump. It was 4.
They did not cover. And also, like, I have found myself doing this each of the first 3 games that I was here to cover, that, like, you feel a certain type of way immediately after the game, after the press conference, when you and I are sitting here talking. And then I'll sit down and, like, really look at it when I put together the report card. And I'm like, you know what? They did a little bit better here than I thought, or they did a little bit worse here than I thought. So, like, there's a couple people in the comments that are like, C+ game. Like, I can see myself giving them just like a solid B. Like, it's sometimes a solid B game is sleepwalking through an opponent that you know you're going to beat, and you still, it may not be super spectacular exciting, but you still look up and they put up 521 total yards of offense. Like, you know, that's kind of where this program is at right now. And I think you should relish that. Yeah, 521 total yards to 126. And UMass didn't hit 100 until their final offensive possession in the 4th quarter. So that's kind of where the program is at right now. That's a good thing that we're kind of meh after, you know, over a 500-yard offensive performance and another brick wall showing from the defense. So it wasn't exciting. And maybe we are being a little bit too critical. And part of that is because we're viewing this team through the lens that they want, you know, the standard that they want to hold themselves to. But also, like, when we finally take a step back and take a deep breath, it's like, you know what, this was a good game. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't their best game, but it was a good game. There's something to be said for that.
It was a fine game. Like, I didn't learn anything that I didn't already know, but also if I came into this game saying there is nothing Missouri can prove to me tonight, like, I will take nothing out of this game that says this tells me they're going to beat Alabama, then I also can't take anything out of it that says, oh, no, I know this means they're screwed against Alabama, because it wasn't that type of performance. It wasn't a night where there were these glaring issues that you thought, oh, my God, Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams and Alabama's going to make them pay for this either.
Yeah.
They got through it and it was fine.
Yeah, like would it have been more fun if there was something more exciting or something more exhilarating that we took away from the game? And would that maybe change the way we're reviewing this game? Probably. But I think there's something to be said that, like, the game was really boring. And again, they put up 500 total yards of offense and they were never at all in doubt, you know, when it came to this game. And they were in full control the entire way. And Drink even said that. That was one of his opening comments, that, like, they were in control the entire way. And was it boring? Yes. But that's not necessarily a bad thing now that I'm sitting here thinking about it more.
Right. G. Philly Mo's asking if Caden Green will be back for Alabama. The earliest we're going to know that is Friday night before Alabama. There's no chance we're going to know that before then. So obviously, you know, they tend to not do media day during the bye week. So I don't think Cody will talk to Drink on the teleconference Wednesday morning, but, like, there's not going to be an update about Caden Green until the availability report comes out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before Bama. So, Billy, let's go ahead and hop on some voicemails here and see. I don't know. I'm interested to see if the energy is on the voicemail line or if they're kind of like we are, and it's just like, hey guys, what's up?
Take that shirt off, Gabe. Woo. Go Tigers.
Yeah. I will give the chat this. I immediately saw comments when I logged in that said, like, this game isn't even worth asking anybody to undress on the post-game show. So that seemed like fake enthusiasm on that first voicemail. Let's go to the next one.
Left voicemail a second ago, real quick. Just wanted to give the secondary their flowers. They did close it up quite a bit at the end of the third into the fourth, on both the backup unit and main unit. So maybe it's fixed. MIZ left a voicemail a second ago.
Maybe it's fixed. Maybe it's not. That's about what I got there.
If we're taking tonight in a vacuum, Mizzou finished with 9 pass breakups. The pass rush got after it with at least 10 hurries. They also had a sack. We'll see what some of the PFF advanced numbers say. I know I like looking at those while I'm doing the rewatch because it just kind of informs what I'm looking at mostly. But I mean, yeah, like based on those numbers, I thought the secondary played a pretty good game given who they were playing against. So thumbs up.
Yeah, Billy, if we know where Tiger Terry's voicemail is, if he left one, let's go there next. If not, just play the next one in line.
Yeah, go Tigers. Gonna send those kids some gift cards. Maybe take a little off the top. Go Tigers.
Fake Ed Orgeron calling the voicemail line? What happened?
I'm curious where the gift cards are for. Like where are we sending the kids to?
I don't know. I'm trying to think like what would be appropriate for UMass being in town. Maybe a Boston Market gift card. I don't think there's one of those in Columbia though.
There you go. A Dunkin', maybe? There's so many Dunkins up in Massachusetts.
There's a lot of Dunkins. Yeah. Hey, do we think that's why it just occurred to me? Is that why the pregame meal was clam chowder dip?
Yeah, clam chowder dip with
What?
oven roasted chicken, oven roasted potatoes. The potatoes are pretty good. I didn't try the chicken. I looked at it and I was like, meh.
Clam chowder dip for banquet style in the press box, questionable decision. I think that's a C- D+ type effort.
Yeah, although it didn't taste bad because I just got like potatoes and veggies and just like scooped it
Mix
through
it all up.
the clouder. Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was all right. Yeah. All right. Next voicemail.
5-0 is 5-0, and we gear up for a very exciting game 2 weeks from today. Let's go.
Yeah,
Pretty good summation.
That sounds about right. You know, I don't have anything to add.
I wrote this in, and I think this kind of, you know, we might go off on a tiny tangent here because like you and I were having this, I guess we've had discussions basically all month long. Like, is anybody really good? Or do we know if anybody's really good yet? Right. And like that conversation is going to intensify because Oregon just went to Happy Valley and beat Penn State. Alabama just went to Athens and beat Georgia. We don't really know who's good yet. I don't think we know if this Mizzou team is really good yet, but I think we can definitively say that they are not bad. And at this juncture of the season, 1 month in, to be 5-0 and to be not bad, that's a pretty good place to be, as opposed to a lot of other teams around the country who have already stumbled and now have to kind of walk a tightrope the rest of the season.
Well, and here's the thing. Literally earlier this week, people were like, there was somebody on our message board trying to get the ACC 3 playoff spots. I mean, Syracuse fell on its face today. Florida State fell on its face on Friday night. Georgia Tech got bailed out by the officials. That's a one bid league. The Big 12 is a 1-bid league, and the SEC, nobody is going through this thing undefeated. I mean, you know, Bama got steamrolled by Florida State 3 weeks ago and then just went into Athens tonight and won a game. And Georgia doesn't suck. Georgia's still going to win games and be in playoff contention. LSU has looked pretty good. Went to Oxford today and got beat. Ole Miss is not going undefeated. They are losing somewhere. Auburn has played pretty well, lost 2 games. A&M's undefeated right now. They're not going undefeated. Missouri's undefeated right now. They're not going undefeated.
The Florida
This
State
thing is going to be bunched up.
Yeah, the Florida State team that steamrolled Alabama just lost to Virginia, who has already lost to NC State, who has already lost to Virginia Tech, who fired their coach earlier this year. Like, we don't know who's good.
Right. So the transitive property doesn't exist. And the other thing is, guys, we have to quit doing this. Well, we're in week 4. Here's what's going to happen in week 13. We have absolutely no earthly idea. Missouri has 7 games left. I am virtually certain that it will win at least one of them. And the record in the other 6, I have absolutely no clue where it would be. My guess is somewhere between 4-2 and 2-4, but I don't know that for sure because, Like every game is winnable, and every game except probably the last one with interim coach Bobby Petrino is losable.
Yeah, I'll circle it back to the voicemail that kind of sparked this. Mizzou is 5-0. They're in a really good spot, and they're definitively not bad. We don't know if they're really good yet, but we know that they're not bad. And given the state of this first month of the college football season, being 5-0 and not bad is a pretty good spot to be in.
For sure. All right, let's keep rolling.
Hey, Gabe. Daddy. You probably don't remember my mom, but she remembers you.
All right. I feel like we're bordering on incredibly uncomfortable. Was that mood music in the background? What was that, a soundtrack for his voicemail? What happened there?
I was trying to get my phone up to see if I could Shazam it before it ended. So I wasn't able to do that to get the song there, but that was interesting.
It seemed like a 1980s sitcom theme song to me or something. I don't know what the hell was going on, but I don't want to hear it again. And I don't want to talk. I don't want to discuss his mother on the YouTube postgame show. So let's keep going.
Hey, Gabe. It's Patrick from Oakville. Longtime listener, first-time caller. I'm sure you probably already addressed this by now because I'm walking on Stadium Boulevard after the game. However, what's with Zollers only getting a series? Is it possible that he was calling an audible or something? They wanted to give Tommy Locke some play time. The other thing I wanted to say was take your shirt off. All right, have a great night. Bye.
All right, so we didn't talk about that. Cody, you want to take that one and what Drink told us?
Well, first off, shout out to everybody for the song title, Cats in the Cradle. Appreciate y'all. Why did Zollers get so few reps? Because it was homecoming and they knew that they had the game won. And I think they wanted to get Zollers at least one series, which they did, right? It started at the end of the third, went into the fourth. And then after that, they wanted to get Tommy Locke some snaps. That was something that Drinkwitz was adamant about. He made sure that he got Tommy Locke into the game. That was largely the reason why. I think in the postgame, he said, we wanted to get Tommy Locke into the game. Tommy Locke has been here for 4 years. He's been a really strong glue guy for us. When we talk about changing the culture here, Tommy, among others, is one of those guys that we have really appreciated. It was his opportunity to play, and I felt strongly about getting him an opportunity to play. Guys, I'm just like you. I wanted to see Matt Zollers. I was going crazy when he locked into the game in the third quarter. And then I did the little pouty gif when he got removed literally one possession later. He had one really nice throw to Olugbade. He had a nice little run. The drive ultimately ended in a touchdown. I thought we were going to see more, but ended up Tommy Locke took the team home. So I get Drink's reasoning. I'm upset by it, but it is what it is.
I respect wanting to get Tommy Locke in the game. I think you could have given Matt Zollers another series or two and gotten Tommy Locke in the game. Because, look, I'm sure Tommy's a great kid, been a good guy for this program, exactly like Eli said he has earned the chance to get on the football field, and that's phenomenal. There is a non-zero chance that sometime this year you are going to need Matt Zollers to help you win a football game. There is a zero chance that is going to happen if you're turning to Tommy Locke or Brett Brown. That's just true. Like I appreciate what he's doing for Tommy Locke, and that's great. And I have no issue with playing him when there's 5 minutes left in the game. I just think that what if Bo goes down on the third series against Alabama? And I'm not saying long-term, but what if it's even for a quarter? Like, I would have let Matt Zollers play another couple series, I guess is all I'm saying.
I would have liked to have seen it. Like, the guy has thrown, 3, 4, 5, 6 total passes this season. And given the schedule coming up, unless Bo gets hurt, knock on wood, we're not going to see him again, which
is fine. You don't want to see him again. But.
Right, yeah. Like, there's a lot of people in the comments, like, you're one snap away from Zollers being QB1. Yes, you are, which is why we would have liked to have seen some extended look at him in this game, in the Louisiana game. I know he got some run in the Central Arkansas game. You wanted to 6 for 6. So you just wanted to see more of them. Like, you wanted to see him actually like run the offense, execute the offense. We got that for a drive. I would have liked to have seen it for at least another drive, perhaps 2 more, but I'm not the coach, not my call. It is what it is.
How many passes do you think he has to throw to like officially qualify to lead the country with the 100% completion percentage? I feel like it's more than 6.
Well, it changes as like more reps come in.
I think
so
it's like X number per game or something.
Yeah, to qualify, you need to play in 75% of the team's games. He's only played in 3 of 5, so that's a wrap.
All right, now just get him up there a little bit more. All right, let's keep rolling. I know we got a few more voicemails. We'll power through most of them.
Hey, Gabe, I just am calling real quick. I wanted to see, impressive win by the Tigers today against Massachusetts, but I'm curious your thoughts. What record does Drink need to get this year in order for him to be fired? Do you think if he loses the rest of his games, he has a chance of being fired? How hot is his seat right now?
That guy tried way too hard to come up with something takey. Let's keep going on.
How about them Tigers, them Mizzou? Burry, he do the thing, he threw it 21 times and made it in a row, and that Hardy, man, he got another 100 yards. He got the ball, he's the player, he's the player, he's the player, he's the player. Mizzou.
So far, we have had Fake Ed Orgeron and Sling Blade call the show. When did this become the, hey, let me do a really dumb fake voice and call the voicemail line? Like I find it interesting.
This is my first season on the show, so you tell me. You could get.
I don't know. It's a new development. Somebody said it was Boom Hour from King of the Hill. I still think Sling Blade, but let's keep going because I do know we have Tiger Terry waiting down the pipe.
Hey, Gabe. I don't really think there's anything you can take away from this game. Mizzou walked through it. I know UMass is like the worst team in FBS, but we didn't look like we were particularly interested in playing this game. If we played the same level we played against Louisiana, another bottom FBS team against these guys, nobody would be complaining. Offensive line didn't wake up, but whatever. On to the bye week. Hey, Gabe.
Cosign. Yeah.
Pretty good summation. I got 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, let's go.
Hey, Gabe and Cody, what's up? This is Josh calling from Rapid City, South Dakota. Couple thoughts coming out of this game from me, and curious to hear your guys' thoughts as well. I know the pass defense is probably going to be talked about a lot, probably before you even get to this call. And, yeah, it's a concern. It's been a concern for almost 2 years now. Hopefully they can get it cleaned up before Bama. Thought it was interesting how Drayden Norwood wasn't listed as out, but I don't think he played any snaps tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the bigger concern for me coming out of this one is the offensive line. Do we think this is just them not getting up for the game or sign of bigger issues, struggling against UMass, who doubled their season sack total in this game? I wanted to see Javen Richardson more one-on-one without tight end help in this game. We saw that, and I think that's also a concern if you're not going to get Caden Green back before Bama. But also I thought Drinkwitz the rotations were weird tonight. We saw a lot of Vince Brown. I think that's who it is, the tight end from Colorado State who transferred in over Jordan Harris. A lot of Jude James. Tavoris Jones played a lot. So I think it was just a weird game. I think Mizzou messed around for the most part. But anything you guys take from this game and you see it as a bigger concern with Bama coming to town soon?
So I'll take the injury stuff. First of all, Dre Norwood did not play tonight. Drink said earlier in the week he had kind of a soft tissue thing that they were going to be managing during the week. And look, nobody that had as much as a hangnail was playing in this game. So Dre just didn't play. That was a health thing. Jordan Harris had the hand thing that Cody mentioned. He didn't play, precautionary. I think Tavoris Jones played early because Jamal Roberts went to the locker room for a little while in the second quarter. It came back and I don't think went back in the game. But, I don't think it is a serious concern. But just they weren't going to play anybody that might have something that they could aggravate in this game. That's a big part of it. The offensive line, here's the one thing I do come out of this game with, Cody. Like, we had people asking after the South Carolina game, hey, was Richardson good enough that when Caden Green comes back, he goes back to guard? No, I think he's going to be the left tackle when he comes back.
Yeah, and I think he'll be fine when he does come back, whether it's for Alabama, whether it's for Auburn, whether it's for Vanderbilt. That's, put Caden Green back at left tackle and just keep the train moving.
Right. You've got Javen Richardson, who, if you need him to, can go in and play. But, it was a little weird to me that I thought he actually played better against South Carolina than he did against UMass, which is a little bit interesting.
It's one of those things where, I'm going to probably go back and rewatch it, just like what happened with the sacks. What exactly is Eli seeing on Bo's pocket awareness or pocket presence, whichever term you want to use there. So, that'll be, I may have found the topic of the rewatch. Surprise, surprise. But, 4 sacks. UMass only had 3, or I guess 4 in their previous 3 games coming into tonight. That to me was a little, I don't like that. But again, Drink kind of was some of it's on the O-line, some of it's on Bo. It's something that they're going to have to get hammered out a little bit. But against South Carolina, they ran a ton of 12 personnel. They did not run nearly as much. Part of that could have been because Harris was out and they just really kept the call sheet vanilla. So, it was one of those weird things where honestly, Drink didn't really even seem too upset about it when he was asked about it. Because that was going to be my question. Somebody beat me to it. And he was just it's a couple of small things that they need to, figure out before they play Bama, right?
Yep. All right. Next up.
Hey, Gabe. Tucker from Joplin here. Don't even know if it's a thing anymore where people leave their names on these. But anyway, man, is the game tonight with the offensive game plan, I get running the ball a lot and everything. The only thing that was weird to me was when we did throw, we threw it to Kevin Coleman every time, who's, our best receiver, and didn't throw the ball down the field really at all. You think this is a thing of leaving things off the tape for Bama? I mean, there's plenty of tape on us now that we're going to be 5 games into the season. Just seemed like a really weird game. I don't know. Stats say we dominated again. You look at the total yardage, yards per play, all that, which we should dominate a team like this. But it was just kind of a weird game. And as good as Beula's numbers look, we didn't push the ball down the field at all. I'm wondering if we're saving things for Bama. Interested for you and Cody's thoughts. Thank you.
Probably.
Yeah.
This was a don't give them anything they haven't already seen game.
Yeah, if you're playing a UMass and it's 2 weeks before you play Alabama, you either want to, like I said earlier, you're playing Madden against your little brother and you're only really calling 5 plays, or you want to put some other fun stuff on tape just to keep the opposing defensive coordinator up at night. And they opted to just basically run 5 or 6 plays. There were a couple of times that they drew up some deep shots, and Drink gave UMass credit. Sometimes they just played way deep. And so that led to a lot of underneath routes, which is what led to Kevin Coleman having 12 receptions for 108 yards, 108 receiving yards, and 75 of them came after the catch. So a lot of it was just we're going to drop it to this guy. He's going to turn upfield and away he goes. So Mizzou threw for 253 yards, 144 of those came after the catch. So there were a lot of stuff open underneath because UMass just didn't want to give up the big play. I'll give Mizzou credit. They tried. That's coming from Drink, and that's also just, from what we were able to see from up in the press box. They tried to draw up some deep shots. Sometimes Bo held on the ball too long and took a sack. Sometimes he just checked down and they got yards after the catch. So it's not that they didn't try. I think they did, and just the few times they just weren't able to. I mean, he obviously didn't even attempt it, so good on Bo for not trying to force anything. But yeah, I mean, they attempted. It wasn't as often as I think you probably would have liked if you're a Mizzou fan, because I think that's kind of the next evolution, I guess, of the offense, or at least part of the next evolution, is you want to start connecting on some deep balls, because then that's really going to open up some stuff for Hardy moving forward. So they tried a couple of times, maybe a few times. It wasn't very often, and it obviously didn't work because UMass was we're not giving up big plays.
Since we're from different generations, my version of your version is playing Madden against your brother. My version is the Looney Tunes cartoon where the big guy just holds his arm out on the little guy's head and the little guy just swings 800 times, but his arms aren't long enough to reach the big. That's what this game was. Missouri just holding its hand on UMass's head for 60 straight minutes. So, all right, we got about 5 or 6 more voicemails we're gonna hit, and then we'll let Cody go and wrap it up.
Hey, Gabe, the Beer Man and Big Red, you know it. Checking in from Truman Landing. A little disappointed you didn't play our message last week about beating cock, but we're going to let that slide. What do you think about tonight's game, though?
UMass, baby. I mean, it's a tough game to play hard against because, they're just a bad football team, man. It's hard to get them. People are going to be like, oh, Mizzou look like shit. It's hard to play against a school of the blind, man. It's tough.
11 Helen Kellers.
It's hard to be pumped up to play against a bad team. It's hard.
MIZ.
So I like that it was like a tag team voicemail. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of laughed. So. I appreciate it. I don't really have any comment, but it was entertaining. So
there's something to the idea of like, all right, you had your SEC opener, now you've got this, now you've got a bye, and then you've got Bama. So like, the whole getting up for a game against UMass, I would understand if some of Mizzou's guys maybe struggled with that, which maybe led to the lack of energy, even if the production on paper was there tonight. So there's a good point in there somewhere.
I think UMass could beat the school for the blind, but I don't know. Maybe not. Let's go.
I don't want to say this as a sign, but it is crazy. We won last year 45-3 at UMass, and that was supposed to be like a get to offense right type of game. We came into this week in a get to secondary right type of game, and I figured we would maybe like on third and short, just throw it downfield 50-50. If we caught it, great. If not, just get the defense back on the field and let them work on things. But whatever. Hopefully 2 weeks from now, we're not looking up and seeing that Alabama brought their loud pack and smoked us like Texas A&M did last year.
I think this team is better than to get beat 34-0 or 41-10, but I don't know. Weird stuff happens. I guess we'll see. All right, let's go to the next, Billy.
Hey, Gabe, it's old Jay. Glad we won. The starters looked like they just were not interested in being there. Ahmad Hardy is a man. Cool to see Tommy Locke out there. But question, have we seen any or many offsides calls against our defensive line? Because it seems like they've played a fairly clean season so far, and I hope it keeps it up. Good time for a bye week. MIZ.
I do not have the perfect angle, but Zion Young looks like he's lined up in the neutral zone a lot from where I sit in the press box, but he's not getting called, so I guess he's not.
He's also just like a massive human being, so maybe we just have a funny angle of it, because there were a couple plays tonight, like when before Banner's interception, where I was just like, oh, they're coming after this guy. Like they want to get the safety or they want to get a scoop and score or something. Like they were, I don't know. Like maybe we just had a funny angle on it, or maybe just Zion Young's just massive compared to UMass's offensive line. So I don't know. But to the point about the penalties, one penalty that was accepted, I believe, tonight, or at least on Mizzou. So they had one penalty for 5 yards. It was a pass interference on what was that? Toriano Pride.
Yeah,
so I guess it was
that was a crappy call too.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, clean game for Mizzou, which is, I guess that adds to the boring nature of it that they just got on and off the field.
Also, I watched Georgia Tech Wake Forest today. Officials don't know what offsides is. So
that's that. Well, you're comparing ACC to SEC, and that's not a fun game to play for certain parts of the country.
All right, let's hit the next one.
Starting with the positives, interior D-line looked really deep, probably the deepest it has all year. First time I thought maybe we have 4 deep there. Pass rush has been good. On to the negatives. Bo cannot make a 5-step drop on time. It's not an issue now. It hasn't been a tremendous issue. It was there in KU's game. It was there in South Carolina. it needs to get fixed. He needs to be able to throw on time on those. And I thought it was just schematics or cohesion with the pass defense. This week I can't tell what it is. We got bailed out so much by our pass rush to an inferior opponent. The amount of missed I want to know the percentage of open targets to contested targets we have. It seems non-existent. But I mean, I'm saying these as expecting this is a 10-2 team. So my expectations are high. My team looks great. Hardy's a beast. MIZ.
Good enough. We got two more. Let's hit them.
Gabe. Tiger Terry, happy homecoming to you and yours, Gabe. Tigers got it done tonight. A little bit of a slow start. Wasn't always pretty. But heck, I wasn't too excited to play UMass, and so I guess they weren't either. They're saving all their juice for Bama. Sometimes, Gabe, you play like you look, and when you're wearing that yellow French's mustard jersey today, I don't blame them for not playing that good. Bring back the block M for Bama, baby. Another thing I'll say, Gabe, it should be illegal in the state of Missouri to play a homecoming game in the month of September, okay? It was hotter than the devil's taint out there, okay? Chester Brewer is rolling in his grave with a September homecoming. Jim Sturk's not our AD anymore, Gabe, okay? We don't got to play UMass no more. There's a 9-game SEC slate coming in 2026, and I want an SEC opponent for homecoming, and I want the people riled up, okay? Other news around the league, Gabe. Our old boy Brian Kelly, his wife's boyfriend's not going to let him sleep in the house tonight after that loss. Blake Baker, a.k.a. Snake Flaker, got exposed by the Rebs and the Hogs and Sam Titman. He's a dead man walking, Gabe. I think they're going to fire him, but I hope they let him stay to the last game of the season so Drink can drop 50 on him at his stadium one last time and they fire him walking off the field. Bring on Bama, baby. Fat Tiger.
All right. So appreciate all. One real point in that. Here's why homecoming was this week, guys. Given the way the schedule fell, it either had to be this week or it had to be Alabama. Alabama was always going to sell out. There's zero question Alabama is selling out. This game, fifth straight home game, UMass, probably not going to sell out if you don't give it a reason to sell out. The reason is homecoming. The other thing that reminded me, I have covered an Arkansas-Missouri game where an Arkansas coach was fired walking off the field. Brett Bielema was fired in the locker room at Faurot Field here.
Man, I always forget that he coached at Arkansas.
Yeah, when we got back up to the press box, there was a press release waiting on the table that Brett Bielema had been fired from the University of Arkansas.
That's great.
It was good. All right, so I hesitate to do this because following Tiger Terry is a thankless task, but let's hit the last voicemail we got.
Yeah, Gabe, it's Moose and the boys from Creed, Colorado. Great win for the Tigers. I think Ahmad Hardy may have cemented himself into Mizzou lore for best running back in the past 20, 25 years. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Hey, we're more
Really appreciate the stuff you're doing. Really do.
All right, appreciate the call from Colorado. I feel like he said it was Moose and the boys, but I feel like the boys didn't know Moose was calling us, and Moose was just leaving his voicemail, and the boys were in the background just talking about something completely unrelated. No, Ahmad Hardy could be great, man. I think I wrote in my postgame thoughts, this might be the best running game Missouri's ever had. They're averaging over 6 yards a carry. They are about halfway to the school record for touchdowns runs in a season. Like, it's got a chance to be good, but is Alabama the game where the opposing defensive coordinator just says, hey man, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us some other way?
Potentially, but if you guys want to dream a little, and I love dropping little things to let you guys dream a little because this team is very fun. Alabama gave up 227 rushing yards to Georgia tonight. And if there's a defense where you want to just load the box and make the quarterback beat you, it might be a little bit of an unproven Gunnar Stockton. I know he played pretty well against Tennessee and Knoxville. I'll give him his flowers for that. However, if I'm Alabama, I trust my secondary against a first-year starter, a guy who's probably only making, his fourth or fifth career start as a college football quarterback. Like, I would have done that, and Georgia still ran for 227 yards at almost 7 yards a pop. So if I'm Mizzou with Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts and a little bit of Marquise Davis back there and a mobile quarterback, I feel pretty good about that. I'm just saying.
All right, let's finish it up this way. You are in charge of setting the line for Missouri, Alabama. What do you think it is?
If you'd have asked me before Alabama played Georgia, I would have probably said Mizzou by 5.5 or 6.
Really? Wow.
I don't know. The more I talk myself into it, the more I feel pretty good about the matchups that Mizzou is going to have to win that game. Now, after watching what Alabama did to Georgia in Athens on the road, which I didn't necessarily trust them to do, Mizzou by 2.5. I don't know. There might be some lines that come out with Alabama as the favorite, and
I think Alabama will be favored.
Yeah.
There's two reasons I think that. Number one, I think they did something tonight that changes what that line was going to be. Number two, lines are not predictions. Vegas is about getting equal money on both sides, right? If you put out a line that has Mizzou favored against Alabama, the casual bettor is going to dump money on Alabama, regardless of not knowing anything else about it. So I think that would lead you to a lopsided, situation where if Bama does cover, they lose. My guess is Bama by 4.5.
That's probably fair.
Most people in the comments seem to think Bama between 6 and 10. Bama still does have Vandy next week. That could have an impact, but my guess would be about 4.5.
If you guys want to dream a little bit too, a little bit more, like in addition to the rushing numbers, Alabama came off a bye to go into Athens and ultimately beat Georgia. They were locked in for that. They're going to be locked in for next week because they host Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt embarrassed them last year in Nashville. So that's something that they're going to be locked in for no matter what. Then you've got the third Saturday in October where they host Tennessee, and Tennessee beat them in Knoxville last year. So Alabama's going to be locked into that game. What's dropped in the middle of those two games that Alabama's going to be locked in for? A road trip to Columbia, Missouri. I'm pretty sure Alabama's going to want to be locked in for that game too. But given everything else they got to worry about and are going to worry about this month, it would not shock me if they didn't pay as close attention to a team that they routinely, handily beat. So, again, I'm just offering you guys a little something to dream a little bit. I'm not saying that Mizzou's a trap game for Alabama, but I'm not saying that.
We're going to break it down a lot in the next 2 weeks, no question. Look, no media day this week. Obviously, no game next Saturday. I think everybody's kind of ready for a Saturday off after 5 straight home games. But Cody and I have a lot of good stuff planned for this week. We'll have some fun stories, a little bit different things for y'all. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. I don't know, Cody, any parting thought for the people? We still got 460 of them online, and I don't know. They need some wisdom if you have any.
I don't know. I'll go back to what I've said a couple different times in this show. Missouri is 5-0. They have looked good in some aspects. They looked even great in some aspects, and they have taken care of each of their first 5 opponents by multiple possessions. That includes a win over a hated rival. That includes your first conference opponent. And I think we can definitively say about this team is that they're not bad, and they have the potential to be really, really good, I think. I don't know that they're quite there yet, but the fact that they're 5-0 after the first 5 games, and we know for a fact that they're not a bad team, it's a pretty good spot to be in after the first month of the season.
Yeah, I will finish up saying the dress rehearsals are over. Last 7 weeks, 5-2 is the goal. We'll see if they can get there. A little bit of good news for you guys. Cincinnati beat Kansas. Arkansas would have given up 40 to UMass, and Missouri won. So it was a good Saturday for y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Yuengling, thanks to them for presenting this show, as they always do, the Yuengling postgame show. That's why we call it that. Yuengling available in 29 states. it's still a little bit early, guys. It's not even midnight. Go grab yourself one last Saturday night Yuengling, maybe a Sunday morning Yuengling. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Again, 500 people. Really, really appreciate it. For a game that we said in the first few minutes, hey, it was pretty boring. But we got another win. We got the return of Tiger Terry, and you can have a Yuengling tonight. So that's what Michael Scott calls a win-win-win. Thanks for joining us. Be back Monday night, State of the Tigers. Till then, I don't have anything else to say. I just felt like I should say till then. So see you later.